while I'm working on this. So the whole thing why I put this as a history, which in case anyone actually ever watches it, and I hit the spacebar by accident, because being honest, I'm just trying something new. Is the fact that so this is Anno 1800s. Is well, it's Anno in the. See, the thing is, I never really played a whole lot of Anno, so if anyone actually watches this and can explain to me like how this relates to the other games, the whole idea, I think, pretty sure like the original Anno game was, which again, correct me if I'm wrong, was you getting control of like a Caribbean-style island and kind of like managing it or something like that to send stuff away. And I think this game, I'm pretty sure the whole point is the fact that now you have. And I want it on purpose, you have this old world, new world system, even though, like, the old world to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and clearly this isn't supposed to be, like, Europe. The whole, like, old world problem is the fact, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it is. No, that's not Europe, that can't be Europe. Is that, like, you just don't control islands, especially when everyone speaks English. I mean, I guess there are islands you can, but, like, that doesn't make any sense. And I guess, oh, shit. Ooh, damn. Choking to death. The whole point is that, because, I mean, I know there were some people who thought it was kind of weird when it was sci-fi space, you're settling, like, new worlds, Anno. Was kind of weird because you still had a navy and you were still, settling islands, and I think the whole point is that kind of breaks everything up.
I can finally let go of that pent-up gas.
Ha ha ha, fart joke. And you can finally, why is this on this bar? But that's the only way that you can really split everything up, because if it's just a sci-fi, you're on a planet doing stuff, it's not going to last very long if you have a whole entire continent, and it's kind of weird. But by breaking it up into little islands, the game goes longer, and
My nietos are growing strong.
and so you can't, I mean, that's just what you have to do to break it up, for gameplay reasons. And I think it made a little more sense when you just had control of some island in the 1700s, which I'm pretty sure Anno took place in the 1700s, because I think it's Anno 1700, and then you have Anno, like, 2700, I think was the future one, but I could be completely wrong. I mean, I had that one, and I played it, and I enjoyed it. It's one of the reasons why I got this one, because I also like the 1800s. And there's this queen, so there's the queen, spoiler alert, which, I mean, I don't think it's much of a spoiler. I think everyone's quite aware that there's a queen. I think it's in some of the, like, oh, and you have to save the queen. And plus, if you're watching this, you've probably watched the Raptor videos, which I watched the Raptor videos. Oh, I don't have enough shit for that. Do I just want to plop these bananas down? Which is another thing. Do we even have... Well, I don't have the stuff for that. Anyway, there's a queen, and you have to save her, and it's all about this stuff. And I think it's kind of funny because, well, obviously, if it's in the 1800s, it'd be Queen Victoria. And they kind of made her like this really naive, popish person, which isn't actually, like, necessarily untrue. And I think, but the Queen Victoria shows that have been playing on, like, Netflix and stuff like that have really done a whole lot to humanize Queen Victoria. But she kind of, especially early on, she was kind of this naive sort of character who didn't, like, necessarily know a whole bunch of foreign policy. And so when you're talking about the 1800s, you also have to talk about the Opium War. And so, like, the first Opium War is this... I kind of like to think of it as, like, one of the worst misunderstandings ever. And I mean, there's probably been worse misunderstandings. So one of the worst misunderstandings in the history of humanity, because here you have a bunch of British traders. And so, like, England has this problem in which you have a whole bunch of people in England who become addicted to tea. And one of the places you get tea from is China. And so England ends up with this huge trade deficit because how trade works is, I mean, you have to trade something to get the tea. And the Chinese just don't want Western goods, because there's this whole idea where the China's like, why would we want Western goods? Why would we not buy Chinese goods? Like, because we're China and we're the best. We're the Middle Kingdom. We're in the center of the universe. All our shit's just better, which ends up getting them in trouble anyway. And so they don't want Western goods, even though, like, I think it was like clocks and stuff, because you can't really get clocks. Like China, I don't think China had a bunch of clocks, so they would buy Western clocks. But that was about it. And so, like, England can't make, like, the amount of tea that they are buying. This is England we're talking about. Tea is this new thing, and it's awesome. And, like, first off, I'm going to break up what I'm saying. Yeah, I have tons of wood over here. I'll just get some wood from over there. Where is my frigate? And so just the small amount of clocks that they're selling to China and other small tiny goods that, like, I think the elites are buying mostly to laugh at, is not going to balance out the huge amount of tea that is being, no.
New orders, Admiral.
Do this. That is being bought by the British people.
Frigate first class.
It's not. It is a massive amount of tea. And so, wait. Yes, but I'm going to have to, I think I'm just going to do what I said earlier, and I'm going to downgrade. I'm going to downgrade these. I don't need these dudes over here. I don't think I need these dudes over here. I don't think I actually built anything. I didn't build a brickwork, which is the only thing I really would want, is the brickworks to get bricks. But you know what? I can do that on the other island. Like, I do not need to have Obrera over here. Anyway, so they have to buy the tea, and they're buying it with silver, which means England is losing a lot of silver to this trade deficit with China. Ha ha ha! Doesn't that sound familiar? And now where the hell?
Ready for a challenge?
I still have wood over here. And
A check copy?
check copy.
It doesn't, indeed.
Yes!
Taste half as bad as they say. Changes? Really?
And so they need something. It's like we can't just keep buying this tea. Actually, that could be really cool. Oh, should I do that one instead? I just think I should. Because that's way cooler. And then I'll put this kind of like up here, like that. And that way I can then blammo. Put some nanas right here. I guess plantains. They're plantains. You know, what exactly is the difference between a plantain and a banana?
These fabled lands exist after all.
Oh, shit. Oh no. What did I do? Oh, I did rescue missions.
Let's extend
I'm totally gonna do this. I want more crap for a twist of coral, which has hunting. That's diplomacy.
Game saved.
Let's see here. I need hunting though. the only thing I have for hunting, which is another thing, I do not know what is for a whole, which is actually that. No, that's better medicine. Other than glass. Glass is the only thing I know that's good for hunting. Is this advanced weapons? Those are good for hunting, right? I know. I've yet to find. Oh, fur coat. Is that better? Oh, that's better. That's way better. I'll put a fur coat up there. Heck yeah. If I need to get someone drunk, I have plenty of stuff for drunkenness. I was working on this one. There we go. So, huge trade deficit with China. And so England needs something to trade. And so the English traders, a few of them, get this idea of, well, you know, we have this, you know, England has all these colonies, like in India and Afghanistan and like, well, sort of Afghanistan, but like we have this access to this thing called opium, which is, you know, illegal in England because, you know, it's an addictive drug. But we have all this opium from these poppy fields in our other colonies. Why don't we just get that, which we can't sell in England, and just sell it in China? And so they do this, and they get, and I'm not saying that there was probably opium in, but I mean, it just creates this huge, which, you know, kind of makes me wonder if the heroin, the whole opioid epidemic thing isn't just payback for that. But, and they start selling opium to the Chinese. And obviously the Chinese don't like this because suddenly now they have, it starts to reverse. And now they have a huge trade deficit because all this money is leaving China because of the opium.
Pure pleasure.
And they don't like that. Which, I need rum. Okay, so this is why I built this ship. This over here. Oh, which is not connected. There we go. Problem solved. So that I could build a little schooner to ship rum from this island to the other one. Because, oh, no. I probably should. Because I'm pretty sure this island also should can. I could totally just start doing rum over here. But that would save me labor. Since I'm already making tons of it over there, I don't have to make it over here. Because the whole point is... Oh, but I do need these dudes over here. Because this is where the coffee is. And the... Oh, crap. Well, I need to expand this population anyway. I need to expand this population anyway. More people. Anyway, so they start selling the opium to the Chinese. The Chinese don't like that, and the Chinese start cracking down. Of course, at this time, they basically had these enclave, well, an enclave, and that is the only place that the foreigners were allowed. You could not enter into China as a foreigner without special permission. So like when envoys came, and so this is also where you can talk about how China viewed Westerners. So remember what I said earlier was that China views himself as the Middle Kingdom. We're the center of the world. Everyone else is beholden to us. We are and which kind of ends up being a problem because where they see themselves like we're already the pinnacle of existence and everything we have done is awesome and great. We don't need to do anything else. And which I'll get to how that ends up biting them here in a second. So, having never really been to England or understood about anything about the English Empire, whenever they would entertain courtiers from the English crown. It's like, oh, here's this far-off foreign barbarian kingdom that has come to pay tribute to us. And so, like, part of European thing is giving gifts and stuff like this. Like, oh, here's this cool stuff to show you how awesome and great we are. And China was like, oh, here's this thing you're giving us because you understand how awesome and great we are. And so you're paying tribute to us. They basically, everybody's a client and a tribute to China. Complete disconnect. This is where a lot of misunderstanding is. And there's this, like, culture shock because, like, European powers want to treat China and like Asian countries as if they're European powers, but like you can't. Which just ends up like, ha ha ha, look at these funny Asian people and how superior we must be because they do things differently, which is just racist and shitty. But it's the 1800s and everyone was racist and shitty. Which is why, personally for me, I think Victorian era is hilarious because like the Victorians, they end up becoming like the kind of huge prudes. Like huge, just absolute giant prudes. And which I always find is kind of funny because like now that we're coming out of the prudishness of the Victorian era and people are like, oh my god, like people are just, everything's going to shit and everyone's so sinful now. And it's like, but everything's returning to how it was before the Victorians like suddenly had a huge clenched ass. Like became so uptight. And I just find, like, because the crazy shit that they believed in this era is just hilarious. Like the fact that, like, women's, like, uterus could just wander around their bodies. I find that hilarious because...
Ceasefire has...
Why would you ever believe that? What evidence is there that any part of the body can just I mean, I'm pretty sure, I think there are, like... I think there's a couple of diseases where, like, your kidney and a few other organs actually can do that. It's, like, a very rare genetic condition. And there's also ones where, like... There's actually one that's sort of cool where, like, your organs are reversed where they're supposed to be. Like, because your heart's sort of to the left, but actually, like, everything is just on the opposite side. Like, everything is just reversed. Like, your esophagus feeds down to the right, which actually feeds down to the left, like, enters your stomach from the left side and all this other stuff. Like, it's just reversed, and it's weird. And cool and interesting. Ooh, look at all the money I'm making.
I can finally let go that pent-up gas.
I wish there were some spreadsheets and shit. I should have just put Rome on this island. I don't know. Can I do this? Yes! And I will. I will totally do that. So, Victorian era people, stupid, and it's hilarious, and... I mean, also, incredibly tragic. This is tragic, obviously. I mean, the Opium Wars is tragic. And so, we're getting to a whole point where Victoria comes into this, because what ends up happening is, so, and why is one of the big misunderstanding, is so, eventually, China's like, this is a huge problem. We need to deal with it. And so, the Emperor appoints, Lin Zexu to deal with this. He says, hey, Zexu, my man, because I'm pretty sure they knew each other. Or at least he was well known within the court, and he was a very up-and-coming scholar, bureaucrat in China. And he's, you got to deal with this. And he says, I got this. And he goes down there, and he does a whole bunch of stuff to close a bunch of the opium dens and stop the trade and, like, punish these people. And the thing is, like, there were English people who were punished for this. And, like, England sort of had this whole deal, like, okay, like, you're down in these other countries, you got to obey their laws. And even though, like, this whole idea is like, well, we should have, like, British people should be punished by other British people. Like, we shouldn't. I mean, it was illegal. Like, they were doing something illegal. One thing I want to know is what this is for. I think it's Caoutchouc? Caoutchouc? Like, you can make a plantation for it. But I don't know what it's for. I mean, maybe it's something later on, because they don't need it. Like, none of them need it. I don't know. I guess I'll find out, because it's something that unlocks now, and maybe it's something I need for later in the old world. I don't know.
The royal seal upon it.
Here we go. The mackerel. So... And he goes down and he starts messing things up. And then, like, he starts punishing, like, rightfully. He's like, stop smuggling, you're going to get in trouble. And some of them get expelled, and they complain to Parliament and stuff like this. And Parliament's like, oh, we can't let these British people be, like, blah, blah, blah. Even though, like, completely ignoring the fact they were trafficking in opium. And so, like, they mentioned this to Queen Victoria, which just shows you, like, how... Because, like, Parliament can't necessarily do stuff like that without somewhat royal consent, because if Queen Victoria is on your side, like, because she's insanely popular, like, the monarchs are insanely popular. If the monarch's on your side, you're going to get away with whatever you want. And so they tell her about how, like, the Chinese have expelled these merchants and these poor merchants, and her response is, well, perhaps we need to teach the Chinese about free trade. Which is just, like, ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. And you're just like, what? And that's her response to it. We need to teach them about free trade. No idea the context. She has no idea really what's going on, and she really doesn't understand a whole lot about politics. I mean, she is kind of... and then she buys this. Stop it.
Okay, enough wrapping up.
I mean, the whole point is I don't want her to get... I don't want her to have a majority, which is sort of what she does.
You can help me charm the other shareholders.
Because I really don't like the idea. Which also really funny is the fact that... Like, Princess Ching, which is kind of like...
into the unknown.
Like, you can tell what they're doing, and it's also like, so I'm playing the British, so I guess if I'm really playing it here, like, we need to just go ahead, and I just need to just screw her over, immensely here in a second, just, because, I mean, the point of this game, obviously, I'm pretty sure, is to be the last one standing, other than just to have fun, so eventually I just need to totally just screw her over, because I'm British and she's Chinese, and she needs to learn about free trade, right? It's just ridiculous. And so they dispatch naval forces. And like the really tragic thing about this is the fact that is that Lin Zexu actually sent her a letter. He wrote Queen Victoria a letter to explain the situation. Like, I'm Lin Zexu, honored, you know, like, ruler of the Kingdom of England, you know, the barbarian Kingdom of England, like, he's actually that condescending. He's very diplomatic about it. Because, I mean, we have copies of the letter. We knew he wrote the letter. It's just, we don't, like, Queen Victoria, for whatever reason, didn't, well, we don't know why, but for whatever reason, she didn't get the letter. And so, like, she never read it. She didn't understand what was going on. She didn't understand that, like, and I think there might have been some, like, oh, well, they're dealing opium or something like that, and like, clearly they should get in trouble. Opium is legal. Like, they knew what opium was in, like, England, but she's like, meh, whatever. Where am I gonna put this? Should I put it over here? I think I should put it over here. And then put, well. Ah, crap. Oh, shoot. I clicked the wrong button. No. Like this. And then we go like this. And then I want to put this right here. I want to put
Pure
this
pleasure.
right here. And then I'll go ahead and do this because I can.
No fields, no work.
I know. Then we can make ponchos, make these people happy, and make me money. Which I might have to up it. I don't think 5 is enough. This is what I was trying. I'm playing with science here.
Game saved.
So let's just go ahead and do 10. So I don't want to do too much, and then... Which, by the way, trade routes, you should try to make them as simple as possible. Because quickly, if suddenly they can't... did you do it again?
Here you is.
Oh, no. Anyway, needless to say, I mean, they were committing a crime, but they intervene anyway, even though, like, we could talk about how the intervention is just wrong. I still don't have enough. Ah, crap. This is one of the things that's really annoying, because then, like... Because now I need more workers. Which I think I am.
Customs and excise, eh?
Why are these people not happy enough? Because of the gosh darn it. It's that one, like, oh, I not enough residents because the school just happens to be that much farther away. Everyone else around you can get there just fine. You're gonna be dumb about it.
We
Oh, well,
have
back to
the
the old...
devil to pay.
Oh.
It's beastly, Admiral.
So... The, oh, really? Oh, well.
Nothing to fear.
So it's kind of like, wow, really? You're gonna do that? And... But then, of course, it's because we're talking about the British here. Of course they're gonna do that. They're British. Which I also should go ahead and put a police station. No, I don't think I've ever really... Oh! I think during the campaign I needed a police station. Because they kind of forced you to make one. I don't think I've ever really had to use it during riots because... But, so the British end up sending an expedition over...
Pure pleasure.
To get the merchants, like, force the Chinese to take the merchants back. And of course the Chinese have, like, no interest in the fight at all. Because as far as they're concerned, this is just some barbarians that have come and it's just an annoyance. Because China realizes that I'm really, really big, they're not going to win. There's some far off, tiny little kingdom of barbarians. They're not going to win. So they don't even treat the British, like, seriously. They don't treat the British seriously. And even though, like, the British just totally, like, kick the back. Like, Lin Zexu leads the defense, but the problem is, like, England has their brand new latest ships. The British Marines are equipped with modern rifles,
Same.
and the British cannonades which is the big new thing, and they also had rockets. The ships had rockets. Just decimate the
La felicidad.
Chinese
You
defenses.
give me pride.
They just do. The Chinese defenses are they have fortress and they have old bronze cannons because it's like the way they see it, like, oh, we're China, we're invented cannons, our cannons are better, we don't have to worry about these things. And I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pop these back up. And I'm just gonna go ahead, like I said, I'm gonna make this as simple as possible. I'm gonna make another schooner to ferry the tortillas over here. Like, we don't have to worry about it. Like, we're China, we're huge. These dudes are gnats. Like, they do not take the British seriously. And so this is how the British get Hong Kong. Because they see this little island, and the guy, and I don't remember what the guy's name is, but the guy basically leading this whole expedition kind of sees it. It's like, you know what? This would be a nice little island to have. Why don't we just, get this island? Give us the island. And the Chinese are like, it's some dinky little island over here, where this massive thing, just fine, go ahead and give this to them. Because we're done with this. Even though, like the fort, they smashed some forts. They basically sunk a bunch of Chinese junkers, which couldn't do anything to them. Which, because like the British are using modern ships and have modern cannons that completely outrange the Chinese ones, and I mean, they don't have any. I don't think they have any steam. Like, steamships aren't a thing yet. That's another 30, 40 years away. This is the 1830s. This is when the first war happens, and so I think what ends. I think it was in the first one. I think they did make it to the Yellow River. And that's when they really started to annoy the Chinese, and that's when they said, just make this go away. We're tired of hearing about this. We really don't care.
How sickening.
Give them this tiny island, whatever. It's a tiny little island that we don't even care about. And, of course, that's how...
Just said fair enough.
I mean, that's how, like, the British get Hong Kong, because, like, they annoyed the Chinese enough. And... I'm gonna set this stuff up over here too, which I'm trying to. That's the problem. It's like this huge. Let's see here. Set this up here, and then I'm gonna put the tortilla. Even though, like, oh, which is this is the big problem. Now I'm running low. Which I guess I should just go ahead and put in more planks. Which now I'm trying to have. Now I have trouble finding a good spot to put the planks.
Pure pleasure.
Because I don't need it to be 100%. I'm pretty sure that it'll produce enough wood. Let's see if I can get a. Here we go. 81%. That's good enough. Enough wood. Did I make this ship?
Schooner reported.
Oh, I can't upgrade it. I'm gonna need you guys to make coffee.
Stations.
But first, let's take a bunch of wood over there. Well, not that much. Just a full stack.
The festival has
It's
ended.
plotted.
Oh my god. And I didn't even...
Your city has grown uglier.
Because the festival ended, that's why it got ugly. So it's not really ugly, it's just it got
Same
boring.
same.
Let's see here. I should probably do bricks too, but I want to take care of, actually, no, shoot. Not paying close enough attention. I want to do that. Oh, this is gonna look weird.
Duty done. Time for a kid.
And this is fine. This will be fine. Now, see, this thing is so labor intensive. Like, I have to have like a ton of these dudes to make this work. And that, I think, is a little silly. Especially when their house is only...
It's exactly like I imagined.
You can only get 20 of them in there. And these will give me 4 more. But, which reminds me, I'm gonna have to build a second set of these.
There must be input for output.
Because, shit, to make extras for the other island, I have to produce them for this island and for the other one. Plus, I also want to put a brick industry. I'm gonna need a lot more workers.
All hands at
Ridiculous.
the ready. Hope you're feeling resourceful.
So that's how the basically the first Opium War went.